They didn't start with a bold plan or a clear destination. They started with rent they couldn't afford. In 2007, two young designers were living in San Francisco, sharing an apartment and worrying about money. A large design conference was coming to the city, hotels were fully booked, and they noticed an opportunity hiding in plain sight. They bought a few air mattresses, placed them on the floor of their living room, and offered guests a place to sleep with breakfast in the morning. They called it Air Bed and Breakfast, a literal description that would later be shortened into Airbnb. The idea was not meant to change an industry, it was meant to survive 1 month. 3 people stayed with them, paid to sleep on the airbeds, and shared stories over breakfast. That simple exchange planted a question that refused to go away. What if people were willing to stay in strangers' homes, not just because it was cheaper, but because it felt more human? Soon, a third co-founder joined, and they tried to turn this small experiment into a real company. The timing could not have been worse. The global economy was collapsing, investors were cautious, and the idea sounded uncomfortable. Who would open their home to strangers, or trust a website with such a personal decision? They pitched the idea again and again, and almost every time the answer was no. Some investors didn't understand it, others didn't believe it could scale, and many simply felt uneasy about it. Money ran out quickly, credit cards filled up, savings disappeared, and the company was weeks away from shutting down. To stay alive, they did something strange but practical. During a US election season, they designed and sold novelty cereal boxes tied to the presidential candidates. It had nothing to do with hospitality, but it paid the bills. More importantly, it taught them a mindset they would never abandon. Survival comes before perfection. As they struggled, they slowly realized that the biggest problem wasn't technology or demand, it was trust. Guests were afraid of unsafe homes, hosts were afraid of damaged property and unknown people. Instead of guessing solutions from a distance, the founders went to meet their users in person. They stayed in hosts' homes, listened to complaints, and observed how people actually used the platform. One detail stood out immediately. Listings with good photos performed dramatically better, so they borrowed a camera and started taking photos themselves. Bookings increased almost overnight. This was the turning point, not because of the photos, but because of what they represented. The founders learned that small, human details could unlock massive change. They understood that trust is built visually, emotionally, and gradually, not through promises, but through clarity. They redesigned profiles, introduced reviews, improved payments, and focused obsessively on safety. Each change reduced fear by a small amount. Growth did not explode at once. It accumulated slowly, city by city, host by host. As the platform expanded, something unexpected happened. People didn't just use it to save money. Hosts enjoyed meeting travelers from around the world. Guests enjoyed living like locals instead of tourists. The company began expanding internationally, facing new cultures, laws, and resistance. In many cities, regulators and hotel groups pushed back hard. Mistakes were made, especially when growth moved faster than understanding. Some markets were entered too quickly, and some problems were addressed too late. Still, the core idea remained unchanged. Build trust first, then scale. When global crises hit and travel suddenly slowed to a near stop, the company faced another moment of survival. They reduced costs, simplified their mission, and adapted their product to longer stays and local travel. Once again, flexibility mattered more than ambition. Listening mattered more than speed. Over time, Airbnb grew into a global platform connecting millions of people. It became more than a place to book accommodation. It became a system that allowed people to share space, culture, and everyday life. Not without controversy, and not without flaws, but undeniably influential. What makes this story meaningful is not the size of the company today, it is the way it was built. The founders did not succeed because they had the most original idea. Others had tried similar concepts before. They succeeded because they paid attention when others didn't. They listened, adjusted, and solved real problems one by one. The key lesson is simple and uncomfortable. Great businesses rarely begin with confidence. They often begin with uncertainty, rejection, and a problem that feels personal and small. By taking that problem seriously, and by building trust patiently, something fragile can grow into something lasting. Not because it chased growth, but because it earned it.